Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Through the Pages. Today we are discussing one of my favorite authors in his latest work, Homo Irrealis. Andre Aciman, coming through again, but not quite with what I was hoping for, which is not a knock on the book. This book, in his bibliography, is a stupendous edition. This man teaches comparative literature, and you can tell through some of these essays. I will also say to that point, there were some things that were flat out over my head in this. I loved a lot of these essays, but there were some discussions of Proust that I'm just not familiar with his work. And so as you go deeper and deeper into dissecting it, I can't hold on there. I liked learning about it. It made me interested in it. It makes me want to read his stuff, but it was kind of like The Devil Finds Work by James Baldwin, where it was very interesting, and I will read that man could write the back of a cereal box and I'd be on it. But like, it was reviews of movies I'd never seen, or directors I don't know, actors that or I've never known. And in hindsight, I appreciate the book more now, but during it I was just like, I feel like I'm just forcing these words into my eyes a little bit. But this wasn't so much that way. Everything did have an overall theme, and it's what the title speaks to. Homo Irrealis. It's a mindset of things that didn't happen essentially being memories. Like, it could have gone one of two ways, went this way, but you think about the other way a lot. You know how it could have gone. You know what the next couple chapters, had it gone that way, and you start to think about it a lot. It's like, I almost have that memory of it in both worlds. And there's, I guess the one sentence that sums it all up, or four sentences I should say, that had been was the crux of it all. I was toying with a might have been that hadn't happened yet, but wasn't unreal for not happening and might still happen, though I feared it never would and sometimes wished it wouldn't happen just yet. So that was kind of the theme of the book. There was another little four sentence cluster I was thinking of that was not that, but that was the main thing of just these, I don't want to say missed chances, because it's not, or missed encounters, because it wasn't all what I was kind of hoping for. Usually this man writes some very passionate accounts. And so Enigma Variations is my favorite of his. Call Me By Your Name is the big one. Absolutely incredible book. I'm not just saying I like the other one to be the hipster here. Enigma Variations just fucking floored me. Find Me was great too. Alibis, Out of Egypt. But through that scope of his stuff, I find I go to him for the romantic stuff. And it's not that I want those old lady romantic novels that are intense in a different way. I really like him because he articulates it so well in a way that reminds me of how Aldous Huxley articulated psychedelics, where sometimes these feelings, they can be so powerful that when you go to describe them, you're just like marble mouth, and it's so much. And so for him to bring the ineffable back from the overwhelming is one of my favorite characteristics of his. Though in this, he kind of went into a different psychological element that I was fascinated to explore as well. I recently just kind of went through something where, I'll post it here because I doubt she's going to watch this. There was a girl I asked out, did not go the way I wanted. She had just started dating someone else. Wasn't a flat out no. I tell myself that. She basically just said, I'm dating someone else. But we had hung out quite a bit, and I'd waited to ask. And at this point, I was like, we're flirting, right? We're this is kind of a thing. And then when you get the rug pulled out, it hasn't been that. Ooh, I've been thinking that. I've been thinking, already planning the night. I was we're kind of in this groove, starting to mention to friends, and it's oh, nope. But so I had that little Irrealis there where I was very much in this, I think this is happening. It's nope. And so you can start to build these little worlds in your head or alternates, and sometimes they're nicer places to be. But he touched on a lot of beautiful things in this book. It was just kind of a compilation of essays and some were more reviews. I spoke to on the Baldwin book, where like film reviews, book reviews, and things like that, but it wasn't so disjointed where it felt like, oh, popular author wants to cobble together some writings post writing his what would probably be his biggest hit in his career. It wasn't that. It wasn't just a smash and grab. It really seems like he had been mulling over this notion even since childhood of being expelled from Egypt as a Jew, to later in sexuality, to just every way of ways where his path could have gone different. And I think it's something we all think about, but to have such a harbor for all of those sorts of things rolled into this, it allowed me to really kind of like ponder that notion without being like directly on it. You know, like I've read like a book on sleep where it's just like, God, I'm just reading about sleep all the time, not all the things that kind of relate to it in a sense, you know, where like this was like on that subject, but it wasn't like the subject. It was things around it that coalesced into a better understanding of the thing. And I really liked that for it, because I don't know if I could read a whole like psychology book on Irrealis mind states, but I'm really glad I read this book. So overall review, and like I said on here, I'm not going to give number reviews. I just don't like that idea at all. Leave a comment below. Honestly, if you're watching, are there any time, like I'll review, you want like a number review? I feel like that's not good. Like, it's such a quick, like, oh, 7.7 good. Like, I'm not going to read the paragraphs, then I'm going to see the number. Like, and to quantify these things and rank fiction against nonfiction, like, it's strange to me. So I don't have any interest in, like, ranking books or saying who's better than who, but I will say in the scope of his work, Homo Irrealis is probably in the middle. I will say middle, because he doesn't really have a low section. He's also good. So it's just that some of the other ones are so high up. These are lower than those, but not low at all. It's still a very good book. You're still kind of just like in awe of his prose, but there was enough in this where I was able to drift kind of back into reality and be cognizant of my reading, where in some of his others I would just sink into these and just be in my feels for the rest of the night. Like, so couldn't quite get to that. It's what I was seeking after a little tryst that didn't go so well in my romantic life. So there will be other romantic books coming. I have a few on deck. So, but yeah, Homo Irrealis, it's worth picking up if you see it around used. Maybe that's how we do this. Brand new at the stark new price, it was probably a little bit much if you're not already an Andre Aciman fan, but you see this out and about. It's a good read. It's a pretty easy read too. I feel like that's something that as people are like wanting to get into books, to find books that aren't so daunting. So it's a pretty easy one. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for rocking with this channel and the sporadic videos I'm posting. I'm working to get more consistent on it and to not start a new book before posting it or like recording the video on the past one, but the bookworm in me struggles with that. So any advice you want to drop for the channel, leave it below. If you subscribe to the channel, thank you. Seriously, thank you. That shit, like, I'm watching that number. It's at 14 right now, and I'm jazzed about it. So I'm not stressing low numbers. I'm just glad to see any growth. Little likes, little subscribes, appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much.